To revalve quantum black shocks, you will need a C-spanner, a 6mm drift, the appropriate quantum slot ring, a pin spanner, a torque wrench and 19mm socket, 5-weight shock oil, a pick, nitrile gloves and safety glasses. Before you can remove the shaft assembly, first you will need to remove the coil spring. You will need a C-spanner for the locking ring and a 6mm drift for the platform. Make a note of the length of the spring before you begin, so you can accurately set the preload when you reassemble the shock. Turn the spring platform clockwise until the round wire clip is exposed and prise this off with your thumb or fingers. Remove the coil spring and the retainer. Opening the bleed adjusters will make it easier to remove and replace the shaft. It's good practice to close the adjusters first, remembering you should always adjust your shocks from full stiff. For single adjustable blacks, turn the adjuster fully positive, then back out 12 clicks negative. The adjuster is now in the middle of its range. For double adjustable blacks, first lock out the compression adjuster, then turn the rebound adjuster towards the left until you feel resistance. Do not force the adjuster. Turn the compression adjuster towards the left, and when you feel resistance, the shock is set fully stiff. Now turn both adjusters 12 sweeps towards the right. The adjusters will now be in the middle of their range. Push the slot ring onto the body, and using a pin spanner, unscrew the shaft bearing. Withdraw the shaft assembly, giving it a couple turns as you do to catch the worst of the oil. And catch the shaft assembly in a vise by the top eye. The piston is held in place with a 19mm lock nut. Remove the lock nut, remove the clamp ring, remove the rebound valve stack, remove the piston, paying close attention to which side faces up, remove the bump valve stack, remove the top out plate, but do not remove the shaft bearing. I prepared the new valve stacks before we began. Reassembly is the reverse of removal. Replace the top out plate the correct way up, the bump valve stack, the piston the correct way up, the rebound valve stack, the clamp ring, and the 19mm lock nut. Torque the lock nut to 25 pound-foot. We're on the home stretch now. Fill the shock with fresh 5-weight shock fluid. You want to fill the shock to just above the bottom of the thread. With the shaft bearing well out of the way, take the eyelet in both hands and using a circular motion, firmly push the shaft assembly deep inside the body of the shock absorber. Repeat this a couple of times to remove air trapped inside the valve stacks, but be careful not to pull the shaft so far out as to expose the transfer ports. Slide the shaft bearing down till it is just above the oil, then push down on the shaft assembly till the threads engage. Remove the thin O-ring from the shaft bearing and screw the shaft assembly into the body of the shock. Remove the slot ring. Back the shaft bearing out one turn and using an airline or a piece of rag, remove any excess oil. Replace the O-ring and screw the shaft bearing back in. And that's all there is to it. Wipe the shock down, refit the spring, remembering to reset the preload, and you're done.